Hey everybody, this is Pastor Steve Vellante bringing you greetings from Bible Baptist Church in Chickasha, Oklahoma. Today is Friday, April 3rd. It happens to be my daughter Christina's birthday, so I wish Tina a very happy birthday today. We're going to continue on in the series that we were studying on Wednesday night on identity crisis, who am I in Christ? And we're on lesson 7, and I handled the first 4 points of the message on Wednesday, and then yesterday I gave you the 5th point, and Lord willing, today I want to handle the 6th point in our series. So let's just look at the 5 ways that we've studied so far for a little bit of review, and then go on to number 6. Way number 1 that God knows me is the Bible teaches that Jehovah searches me. He examines me. Many of you have gone through the airport, and there is a system of examining you where everything has to be put on the conveyor belt, and you stand in that machine and lift your hands, and zoom, it examines you to see what's going on. God is able to know what's going on in our life. He's able to look into our bag. He's able to look into our life to see what we're holding on to that could be dangerous in our lives. Way number 2 that God knows me is the Bible teaches that God discovers me. In his ability to discover me, it means that if I'm hiding something, God has the ability to uncover it. So when you stand before God and you try to act like everything's okay and you're hiding a sin, no, God is able to discover and uncover everything that you want to hide. Way number 3 that God knows me is Jehovah observes me. He is a careful watcher. He watches what I do, and he knows why I do it. He's observing us, and he's learning about us every day by observing our behavior. You might want to come to church and sing your heart out, but if God is watching your life and he observes the way you live, if it does not agree with your voice, your song is useless, and it means nothing to him. You have to have a life song that he observes that agrees with your physical song from your mouth. The way number 4 that God knows me is Jehovah studies me. The psalmist says he's able to see our thoughts afar off. God is able to discern what's going on in our life. There are little seed thoughts that will grow into terrible actions if we're not careful. God can see if you're developing bitterness long before you do a bitter action. God can see a seed of anger long before you blow your stack. God can see a seed of love that's going to cause you to make a sacrificial act to help somebody else. And God can see your thoughts afar off. He sees what's going on that's going to produce either a good behavior or a bad behavior. He knows us so intimately, he can see where we're going because he's monitoring our thoughts and discerning what thoughts are pleasing to him and which ones aren't. The 5th way that Jehovah knows me is Jehovah sifts me. And in the sifting process, that's the word for winnowing, he's going to separate the wheat from the chaff in my life. And God is looking at what I do during the day, the paths that I take, the things that I do that are useless and selfish. And he looks at the things that I do that are wheat, that will produce bread and life in my life. Because to the Jew, the bread was a symbol of life. So if you have wheat, that means you're able to produce bread. And if you're laying on your bed at night, the things that you're thinking about, if they're chaff, your life is going to be filled with chaff. But if you go to bed at night, trusting God, leaning on God, committing your way to God, asking God for safety through the night and blessing on the day that comes. And then God can see that in the night you have this sweet rest that comes from trusting in him. And he can separate the wheat and the chaff. And so be careful. There's not a thought in your mind, whether you're out and about or in your bed at night. God is discerning and judging and sifting what we think and what we're doing. Now, today we're going to look at way number 6 that God knows me, and this is Jehovah follows me. Jehovah follows me. Let's read Psalms 139, verses 1 through 3 to get the setting of our text. O Lord, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou hast known my downsitting and mine uprising. Thou understandest my thoughts afar off. Thou compassest my path and my lying down. And today and art acquainted with all my ways. That's the phrase we want to think about this morning. Thou art acquainted with all my ways. How do you use the word acquainted? To me, the word acquainted means that you know someone intimately, to be extremely familiar with someone, or you're very aware of that person's lifestyle. God is saying that he is acquainted with all our ways. Now, the word ways that the psalmist used here means our lifestyle or our manner of life. So God is not just acquainted with special things in our life. He's acquainted with every part of our life. He's acquainted with your lifestyle at church and out of church. It always amazes me when someone says, hey, you shouldn't lie in church. Hey, you shouldn't cuss in church. Well, you shouldn't have a different lifestyle when you're at church than when you're out in the community. What you do from Monday to Saturday is as important as what you do on Sunday. So if you shouldn't cuss in the house of the Lord, if you shouldn't lie in the house of the Lord, that should be your lifestyle all week long. But God is acquainted with all my ways. Since God has informed us in his word that he knows our lifestyle, this is proof that he's following us everywhere we go. There's nowhere that I can go that I can hide from his presence. He's already there. He's acquainted with every part of my life. So when I go astray from him, he knows because he also follows me on that way that I go, that I'm going astray, so that he can bring me back to himself. What a loving God. You think, yes, I've gone far from God. I'm all alone. But do you know he's following you? And he's looking for you to turn back to him. And he is going to lead you home. He's the good shepherd that goes and looks for that wayward sheep that has gone astray. He's following you because he desires you. This is the intimacy that which he knows you. He knows you and he's acquainted with you because he's the God who follows you. So stop trying to hide your secret trips into sin because God knows where you go and what you do. He wants you to come home. You need to stop carrying that weight and that burden all alone because God is near and he can come to your aid and help you carry it. So today, as you're thinking about this truth number 7 in our series, I am known of God. The fact that you're known by God demands that you're honest with God. If you've gone astray, stop and tell God, God, I've gone astray. I've stopped trusting you. The coronavirus has put undue fear in my heart, and I'm having trouble breathing. I'm having trouble living. I'm afraid of tomorrow. We have a great God who holds tomorrow, and he holds eternity, and death is not the end for the believer. We must be courageous because we know God knows us, and he follows us. And whether you're home, in your bedroom, or whether you're out in the community, God knows where you are. He's following you. He's well acquainted with your ways. And he says, trust me, trust me. Put all your cares upon me because I care for you. So don't let this day be filled with fear that God doesn't know what you're going through. He knows exactly your weight, your problem, your concern, because he follows you. He knows you because he's intimately aware of all of your ways. This should remind us, I can't hide anything from God. My life is open to him. He's well acquainted with me. Don't be afraid to be honest with God because he already knows who you are. Be comforted in the fact that even though he knows you and all of our quirks and our warts and all of our problems, he still loves us. And that's what's amazing about God. He doesn't love you because you're perfect. He loves you because he's the originator of love. He is your creator, and he pursues you with an unstoppable love. So embrace his love today and be so excited that my God knows me and he follows me wherever I go. God bless you and have a great week.